All right, about to get my ticket to Atlanta for December 28th, Yuriorkis Gamboa versus Gervonta Tank Davis. Looking forward to that fight. A whole lot of people are going to talk crap about it, but I will not be one. Let's talk about that fight in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, hit the bell icon. Also, thank you to everybody for your support in the super chats, in the live streams, and thank you so much for your support in the Patreon community. Also, make sure you check out OG Boxing Talk this Sunday morning, 8 a.m. with my man, Blood Boxing, KQKC Boxing, and Curtis Anderson. Once again, OG Boxing Talk. Make sure you're there. All right, man. One of my favorite fighters. Love every opportunity I get a chance to talk about this young dude. Man, he's a terrific fighter out of Baltimore, Maryland. Gervonta Tank Davis, two-time 130-pound champion, IBF champion, and the WBA champion. The kid is looking good. And he's getting his first big name fight against Yuriorkis Gamboa in Atlanta. This is going to be a good fight, man. It's going to be a good fight. Yuriorkis Gamboa can fight. He's very talented. He's a former Olympic gold medalist. He also, used to be one of the best fighters, or said to be one of the best fighters in boxing. Very fast hands, very strong, powerful fighter. Definitely not the same, the typical mold of fighters that we've seen Gervonta Davis in the ring with over the last several fights. This is a different type of guy, an experienced fighter, and who's not going to be nervous for the moment, who can dish it out, Man, I think this is going to be good. Now, Yuriorkis Gamboa clearly is not the best Yuriorkis Gamboa that he's ever been. He's, he lost to Terrence Crawford by knockout some years ago. He lost to, in a fight, I think it was one of the first fights that I covered on this channel when I started this channel. I had a YouTube, I've been watching boxing for years, but one of the very first fights when I actually started this channel was the Yuriorkis Gamboa fight when he was fighting with Golden Boy against Robinson Castellano. And it was supposed to be just, a tune-up fight for Yuriorkis Gamboa making his return. He had been off for a while, and boom, he winds up just getting schooled by Robinson Castellano, Robin Hood, Mexican fighter. Underrated Mexican fighter as well, because I think Robin Castellano was giving Giselle Corrales, some problems as well, man, until the fight wound up getting stopped on a cut. But so Yuriorkis Gamboa isn't the fighter that he used to be, but stylistically, I love it. And because the last several fights that I've seen Gervonta Davis with, it's just been against people that have been pretty slow-footed, not particularly fast hands. I wasn't really sure whether or not they had enough power to cause Gervonta Davis any problems. And definitely didn't have the pop that Yuriorkis Gamboa has. Couldn't switch stances like Yuriorkis Gamboa. Didn't have the amateur pedigree, none of that type of stuff. So it's pretty much a step up fight. But at the same time, it's not the best competition he's ever fought, because I would still say the one big fight, the big win that Gervonta Davis has is the fight against Jose Pedraza, and I think that is a very underrated win. But moving up into the 135-pound division, this is a good fight to be moving up into the 135-pound division, or the lightweight division. It's a bigger, stronger guy, and who still has to be considered one of the harder hitting lightweights. I'm not sure of how many lightweights there are. Maybe, of course, Teofimo Lopez, that's about it that I can really think of off the top of my head that has the type of power that would rival what Yuriorkis Gamboa can make Gervonta Davis have to deal with. Now, as far as who I think is going to win the fight, I think Gervonta Davis is going to win the fight. I think it's going to go longer than his earlier fights. I don't think Yuriorkis Gamboa is just going to get hit one time and go out. But Yuriorkis Gamboa is sloppy enough with his wild enough with his punches that Gervonta Davis is really going to have a chance to lay into him in between those shots. But then, there's the risk of Gervonta Davis getting caught. Now, having the Yuriorkis Gamboa fight actually happen, I'm sitting here, man, I'm crossing my fingers, I'm knocking on wood, hoping we can get to December 28th for this fight to happen. Because the last time that I was excited that Gervonta Davis was at least getting a bigger name to fight was Abner Mares. And we all know what happened. We all know what happened with Abner Mares. Abner Mares winds up getting I think it was a torn retina is what they said, and they pulled out of that fight. He had to pull out of the fight. Gervonta Davis gets a replacement, but that was going to be that was a lamb being led to the slaughter, in my opinion, with Abner Mares, and I was looking forward to seeing it, but that fight didn't happen. So the chorus of who did, the usual that you get when there's a fighter people don't like. Who has he fought? He's not fought anybody. That's not going to change after Yuriorkis Gamboa, because people will still say Yuriorkis Gamboa lost to Terrence Crawford. Yuriorkis Gamboa lost to Ardanis Ugas, who, he was never that, blah, 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 blah. But at the very least, when you look at it, you can say, oh, Yuriorkis Gamboa, Jose Pedraza. Now, when this fight is over and Gervonta Davis wins the fight, what's next for him, man? If he can knock out Yuriorkis Gamboa, then I see him getting in a position to win probably one of the belts that Lomachenko is going to vacate. See, this is an interesting thing, because Vasily Lomachenko holds the WB, he holds the WBO, the WBC, and the WBA, and either Teofimo Lopez or Richard Comey are going to have the WBO. All of those are top ranked fights. But having Mayweather and Al Heyman behind Gervonta Davis, more than likely Gervonta Davis is going to get maybe the WBA regular title and position himself to be a mandatory. But Lomachenko was considering moving down. So if Lomachenko, it's an interesting little thing with Gervonta Davis moving up, because if Gervonta Davis goes to 135, that pretty much prevents Lomachenko from moving back down to 130. Because if he vacates his belts at 135 to go back down and fight Miguel Berchelt or Tevin Farmer, I mean, there's nothing really down there for him. So Lomachenko will have to stay at might think it wise to stay at 135, and the fight between with the hopes of a fight between Gervonta Davis and but that's probably going to take maybe 2 fights, maybe 2-3 fights. There's going to be the Yuriorkis Gamboa fight. I would suspect if Gervonta Davis gets past that, there'll be one more fight. You have the unification fight taking place with the winner with Lomachenko and the winner of Comey Lopez. So that means that Gervonta Davis is probably going to get at least 2 fights, and Lomachenko is probably going to have at least 2 more fights before those guys can match up, which is putting Lomachenko at the end of that, of that age range, man, which is what I've said and I've known is the case, or at least I've believed is the case with Floyd Mayweather. And they're going to try to age Lomachenko up, because he's not a young dude. Gervonta Davis is now about to be in the weight class that he really should be in. But it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be real interesting. I like this move. I also like the fact that it's in Atlanta because Atlanta is a very fun city. They should be able to get a lot of support out of there for Gervonta Davis, provided the tickets, are priced reasonably. But anyway, just let me know what you think about this fight. Let me know in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.